Hello, Professor Lukes. This is Madeline Beulah here. I just got off of work, so this is a little awkward for me, but let's get started. Throughout this semester, we went over numerous topics on gender equality, racial equality, human rights issues and the human rights law, the generations, as well as, just finding and understanding the structures of power that people attain in society, democracy, and how our country is ran and supposed to be run. The this I believe statement that I'm going to talk about is based off of racial and social prejudices or discriminations that I have personally experienced within my 26 years on this planet. It was kind of hard for me to think of what topic I really wanted to talk about that we discussed throughout this semester, but this is one that, as I was thinking on my way home, that really stuck with me. And it's something that, I don't really think about on a daily basis, but it is something that definitely happens to me pretty regularly ever since I can really remember, interacting with other people that I didn't know. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history of my background. I am biracial. My mom, she's pretty much a European mutt. She's different, six different European nationalities. And my dad, he's African American, and he's from the East Coast of the United States. He was born in Delaware, but he was raised in Philadelphia. So growing up, for starters, my mother was shunned by her father and her family because he was the patriarch of their family for marrying and being with an African American male. And she didn't get to see her side of the family until maybe it was 7 or 8 years after she had married my two older brothers' father. And which I kind of knew growing up that really my grandfather was still not okay with it, and he still isn't okay with my mom making that decision, that life choice. And my dad, his side of the family, they're a lot much more open. They've never had any issues with him being with women of different races or ethnicities. And in fact, I have all sorts of cousins that are either Puerto Rican or biracial like I am, or Native, or even Asian and African American. His side is very much more open. And growing up when I was younger, and even to this day now, when people first meet me, one of the first questions that people ask me are, what are you? Now, not knowing even my name, what kind of person I am, my personality, they don't really care to get to know that, the sustenance of who I am actually, but they're just going based off of the color of my skin or the texture of my hair, whichever it may be that day, whether I keep it curly, naturally curly, or if I flat iron it so then it's straight. My name even. They might not know how to pronounce it, but even just by looking at it, they're curious as to wanting to know what my ethnic background is without even knowing who I am as a person. Now, this, I believe, it is a problem that we have in society when we talk about race or, stereotypes and discrimination, because we use preconceived notions on what an idea of a certain race or a certain type of person looks like or acts or speaks, or their mannerisms, where they live, their socioeconomic status, things like that. But they're not willing to actually get to know the person before making those preconceived judgments or notions. That's a problem. Along with the fact that when people do ask me, "What are you?" I don't take offense to it, because I know that it's a question out of curiosity. But then when I tell them exactly what my ethnic breakdown is, that's when it becomes a true problem for me. Because I tell them, and they tell me that I'm not. Which I think is kind of bizarre, because you're telling me what I am. So I can tell them my dad's African American and my mom is white. No way. Actually, would you like to see a picture of them? Would you like to meet them? Do you need genetic markers from my DNA to show you that I'm not lying? But I think that's the crazy part to go along with that whole statement, that whole notion that just based off of someone's, the color of their skin or the way that they appear, that they feel that they have the right to tell me or someone else or one another what the truth is about that individual. I don't think that's the right way to do things. Something else that I really wanted to touch on this subject was that being raised in a family of, different traditions, different religions, different, ethnic and racial backgrounds, one thing that my parents taught me was that I can't make judgments upon other people without getting to know them first. I wanted to tell a story about a few of the conversations that I've had, mostly with my dad, because he has many more experiences than my mom has. She's definitely the matriarch, for sure, of the family, but when it comes to knowing how to handle certain situations or knowing how to speak up about certain issues or problems, she's much more conserved and she's much more passive when it comes to things like that. Whereas my dad is very much more outspoken, and he really doesn't care what other people think when he speaks his mind or speaks his opinion, because it is in fact his opinion. And with him being a black man, a man of color, he's gone through a little bit more racially than what my mom has. She may have experienced some backlash, from her family, clearly, and other people in society that don't approve of interracial marriage or interracial couples. But it nearly hasn't affected her as much as it has my dad, because he's had to live with it his entire life growing up. But I've had many conversations with my dad about, relationships, with guys, and even just with any kind of relationship. So like friendships even, or even relationships, with neighbors or family members. And one thing that he has always implemented to me is that, Nalin, it doesn't matter who you choose to be with. It doesn't matter who you choose to hang out with, or, whatever the relationship may be. Whatever you're doing with that group of people or with that person, as long as they're making you happy, as long as they're treating you with respect and giving you respect that you deserve, the respect that that stems from you, I am okay with. It is a little hard for me to believe that because I'm his baby girl. And along with being the youngest of the family, in a family that's majority males, I have 6 brothers, 1 older sister, my dad, and my mom. It's kind of hard for me to believe that no matter who I choose to be with, he's going to be happy with. But it is something that I have learned over time and through my experiences of dating and being with different guys from different backgrounds, that it is true. That I can't determine, whether or not who is going to treat me better just based off of their ethnic background, or if they have money or not. I guess to really sum up my "this I believe" statement about this course and what we have learned is that even though we live in a society that still discriminates against people of color, or still discriminate against people that are different than they are, whether it be by gender or by sexuality or religion, who are you to judge somebody else just because you can't personally identify with them? And that should be okay not to be able to identify with everyone that you meet or encounter or, come across. Because that's what make people unique. That's what make people different from one another. Because if we were all the same, I don't know, if we were all the same, where is the difference? We wouldn't be having these conversations, these things wouldn't exist. I don't know, it's just kind of a thought, something really to think about. But yeah, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm just running on now. And I just want to say that I do appreciate everything that you have done for me throughout this semester, and I do appreciate you being so understanding with me this semester. I also want to say that I really enjoyed reading the novel, the book that was assigned. My mind is blanking on the title, but by Bryan Stevenson. And especially because, a lot of the things that he touched on, a lot of things that he spoke about really hit home. Right now, my dad isn't home and he is in prison due to things from the past that he matter of factly didn't have anything to do with. And going through that whole process and that whole trial with him, and even testifying and, being a witness to some of the situations that were brought up in his trial, everything was turned against him. And I think it was because of who he is, without actually knowing who he is, but just based off of he's an African American male in society that has no criminal record or has done anything wrong or done anyone wrong, and has actually, been an honorable veteran to this country, as well as, a protective, wise, hardworking, genuine, father. And not even just to myself and my family and my siblings, but to anyone else that he has, encountered. And hearing the things that he's told me that he's had to go through being in prison, and then having to read it in the text, a lot of the same things hit home, like I said. And I appreciated his insight to a lot of the work that he has to do in order to, prove these wrongly accused, wrongly convicted people or children in court. It's a lot of work. He's almost home, but he never deserved to be there in the first place. And like I said, reading the book, it gave me a lot of insight, and I even did some outside research based off of things that we can do moving forward when he does return home. And again, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for everything that you have helped me with throughout this semester. And one more thing. I just kind of wanted to end on a more positive note with everything. The "this I believe" statement, down to the core, and even to the principles of St. Catherine University, is, we have to love thy neighbor. With the sisters of St. Joseph and St. Catherine having established that long before we were even here or thought of, that says a lot, that they came out of their religion in order to help other people during a time period where, women didn't even have rights, really. But we have to take that into consideration a lot more, because you never know what someone else may be going through. You never know what other experiences someone has had. You just don't know. And that's the thing. You don't know someone until you actually get to know them. So you gotta love them. And again, I'm just wrapping it up with that. And again, I just want to say thank you. And I hope you have happy holidays. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And Happy New Year. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time. Oh, I'm tired. Thank you.